Okay, so for question number 17, we focus on the location of an angle. We try to identify the quadrants. And based on the quadrants, we can tell whether which function it's positive or negative. So before we start, I think it's very important to mention this, which I said this repeatedly in class, the ASTC. A stands for all in quadrant number 1. Right here, quadrant number 1, all trig functions are positive. And then in quadrant 2, the sine function is positive. Well, if sine is positive, then cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine, would also be positive. And then we have tangent for quadrant 3 being positive. Same thing with cotangent in quadrant 3. And then for quadrant 4, we have cosine. Cosine is positive in quadrant 4. Same thing with secant, which is the reciprocal of cosine. Okay, so now, so make sure that you can tell the angles. And I'm going to just draw a little quick sketch for all these angles. So for 115, it should be somewhere right here. Okay, should be somewhere right there. So that's 115. This is in quadrant 2. Okay, we always use Roman numerals for quadrants. And if it's quadrant 2, that means sine and cosecant will be positive. Everything else will be negative. Okay, I'm just going to skip the negative for the moment. We can do it at the end. Let's focus on the positive so that we can keep the picture clear. And then we have pi over 7. I think this is very easy. It's very obvious. Quadrant 1. So everything will be positive in quadrant 1. Okay. And then we have 11 pi over 4. 11 pi over 4. This is actually a pretty big number because it's even bigger than 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi, right? So we can actually reduce this number into 3 pi over 4 because if you take out 8 pi over 4, you just have 3 pi over 4. And 3 pi over 4, it's right there in quadrant 2. That means sine theta and cosecant theta are both positive. Okay, again, 11 pi over 4 is an angle that goes more than one revolution. So to make our analysis a lot easier, we just take off 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4. Okay, 2 pi is equivalent to 8 pi over 4. So that would make our picture a lot more clearer. Okay, and then this is negative 305. So negative 305 should be somewhere right here. So it would be in quadrant 1. In that case, everything would be positive. Okay, so you can just fill out the negative for the rest of them. Now, of course, we can give you any angle. Okay, so your expectation is not about just these angles that are listed on the left. Your expectation, your preparation should be that if you are given any angle, whether it's positive or negative, whether it is degree measure or radian measure, whether it is within one revolution or more than one revolution, how do you know? How do you tell? How do you draw? And how can you conclude? Okay, how can you conclude these? The location of these angles? Okay, based on the degrees or radians. Okay, how are we going to handle something like this one? That it's more than one revolution. Okay, so you learned how to reduce it because the angle resets itself after each revolution. So, okay. That's question number 17.